I still remember the exact moment I knew my relationship was over. It wasn't during some dramatic fight or after discovering a betrayal. It was during what should have been a simple conversation about wedding attire that revealed everything I needed to know about my future with Trevor. For context, Trevor and I had been together for 4 years, engaged for 2. We'd spent almost a year planning this wedding. A gorgeous ceremony at Rosewood Manor, this breathtaking estate with sweeping gardens about an hour outside the city. We're talking full-on Pinterest dream wedding that cost more than my first car. My parents had generously offered to cover most expenses. They'd been saving since I was born, and Trevor and I handled the rest. From day one, my future mother-in-law Margaret had opinions about everything. The venue wasn't prestigious enough. The catering wasn't exotic enough. My dress wasn't traditional enough. But Trevor always brushed it off with, "That's just how mom is," or "She means well," or my personal favorite, "She's just excited about her only son getting married." I'd gotten pretty good at smiling through her subtle digs and passive-aggressive comments. I'd mastered the art of the polite nod while screaming internally. My friends called me a saint for dealing with her, but I truly thought it was worth it because I loved Trevor. 1 week before our wedding, I stopped by Trevor's parents' house to drop off some welcome bags for out-of-town guests. Trevor was working late, so it was just going to be a quick drop-off. Margaret wasn't expecting me. I'd texted Trevor I was coming, but he must not have told her. I knocked, but no one answered, so I used the key Trevor had given me. "Hello, Margaret, it's Grace. I'm just dropping off some things." No answer, but I heard movement upstairs. I figured she was busy, so I left the bags in the foyer and was about to text her when I noticed the dress bag hanging on the coat rack in the hallway. The zipper was partially open, revealing a glimpse of white fabric. Now, I'm not usually nosy, but something made me pause. I gently pulled the zipper down a few more inches, and my stomach dropped. Inside was an elaborate white gown. Not cream, not ivory, not champagne, straight up wedding white, with a small veil attached. I must have been standing there in shock because suddenly Margaret was at the bottom of the stairs saying, "Grace, I didn't hear you come in." When she saw what I was looking at, her expression changed from surprise to defiance faster than you could say, "Inappropriate mother-in-law." "Do you like it?" she asked with this weird smile. "I found it at Nordstrom last week. The consultant said, it brings out my complexion beautifully." I took a deep breath. "Margaret, this looks like a wedding dress." She laughed like I'd said something ridiculous. "Don't be silly, it's just a formal white gown. I always wear white to special occasions." That was a straight-up lie. I'd been to multiple family events, and she had never once worn white. "I'm not comfortable with you wearing white to our wedding," I said as calmly as possible. "It's traditionally reserved for the bride." Her face hardened. "Well, I've already purchased it, and it was quite expensive. Besides, I don't think anyone will confuse me with the bride." The way she said it had this undertone of, "because you're not as sophisticated as me," that made my blood boil. I called Trevor as soon as I left. By the time he got home, I was pacing our apartment, still trying to process everything. I explained what happened, expecting him to understand why this was upsetting me. Instead, he sighed deeply. "Grace, is this really worth fighting about?" "It's just a color." "It's not just a color, Trevor. It's the color that's universally understood to be reserved for brides at Western weddings, which is the kind we're having. Your mom knows exactly what she's doing. I think you're overreacting. Mom's always been into fashion and looking her best. Would it really ruin our day if she wears a dress she feels good in?" I stared at him, wondering if he was serious. "Can you honestly tell me you don't see how inappropriate this is? What I see is 2 women I care about fighting over fabric. It's our wedding, not a fashion competition. Who cares what anyone wears as long as we're getting married?" That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about a dress. This was about years of boundaries being crossed, and Trevor never standing up for me or us as a couple. This was about what our future would look like with Margaret always coming first, and Trevor never having my back. "You know what? You're right," I said quietly. He looked relieved. "Good. I'm glad you're seeing reason." "No, you're right that we should focus on what matters. And what matters is that I just realized I'm about to marry someone who will never prioritize me or our relationship." His face fell. "Grace, come on. That's not fair." "Isn't it? Tell me honestly, in all the times your mother has overstepped or criticized me, when have you ever taken my side?" He opened his mouth, then closed it again. "Exactly," I said. "This isn't just about a white dress. This is about respect, and I'm starting to think I deserve more than what I'm getting here." I grabbed my keys and purse. "Where are you going?" he asked, looking panicked. "I need some space to think." "Don't wait up." I drove straight to my best friend Zoe's apartment. After a bottle of wine and lots of tears, I fell asleep on her couch with my mind clearer than it had been in months. The next morning, I made one call. To our wedding planner, Jen. Grace? Is everything okay? It's kind of early. No, Jen, everything is not okay. I need to cancel the wedding. Updated. The silence on the other end of the phone lasted so long, I actually checked to see if the call had dropped. Jen, you still there? Yeah, sorry, I'm here, she finally said. Are you sure about this, Grace? I mean, wedding jitters are normal, and this isn't jitters. Trevor and I had a fundamental disagreement that made me realize we shouldn't get married. At least not right now. Maybe not ever. I spent the next hour going through cancellation logistics with Jen. Bless her heart, she didn't press for details. Just switched straight into problem-solving mode. She'd handle notifying the venue and vendors. Most deposits were non-refundable this close to the date, but honestly, I couldn't bring myself to care about money at that moment. What about the, guests? Jen asked. I'll handle that part, I said, though the thought of making those calls made me want to crawl under Zoe's coffee table and never come out. After hanging up, I turned to Zoe, who had been quietly making coffee in her tiny kitchen, pretending not to eavesdrop. So, she said, sliding a mug toward me, you actually did it. I nodded, a weird mix of numbness and relief washing over me. I actually did it. How you feeling? Like I just jumped out of a plane without checking if my parachute works? Her eyes widened. Second thoughts? No, I realized I meant it. No, second thoughts. Just processing. 4 years is a long time to invest in someone only to walk away a week before saying I do. My phone started blowing up around 9 a.m. Trevor, Margaret, Trevor's dad, my parents, my sister, apparently Jen, had already started making calls. I only answered my mom's call. Grace Elizabeth, please tell me this is some kind of misunderstanding, she said, her voice tight with that controlled panic she gets when things don't go according to her meticulously organized plans. It's not, Mom. I'm calling off the wedding. But why? Everything's paid for. People are flying in. Your cousin Bethany is coming from Australia. I know the timing sucks. Sucks? Grace, this is... Mom, I cut her off. I found out Margaret is planning to wear a white gown with a veil to the wedding. When I objected, Trevor basically told me I was being dramatic, and I should just let his mom do whatever she wants. Oh. The single syllable contained multitudes. My mom had met Margaret multiple times and had her own private nickname for her, the General. And it's not just about the dress, I continued. It's about what it represents. He's never going to have my back when it comes to his mother. I've been overlooking it for years, but I can't ignore it anymore. The line went quiet again before my mom said, I'm coming over. Where are you? At Zoe's. I'll be there in an hour. Have you eaten? God bless moms and their instinct to feed you in a crisis. While waiting for my mother, I finally texted Trevor. I'm safe. I'm staying with a friend. I've canceled the wedding. I need space to think clearly, so please don't try to see me right now. His reply was immediate. Grace, please don't do this. We can work through this. It's just a stupid dress. I'll tell Mom she can't wear it. Too little, too late. My mom arrived with enough Panera to feed an army and a surprisingly calm demeanor. She hugged me tight and then got straight to business. Your father is handling the calls to our side of the family. I've already spoken with the hotel about the room blocks. Luckily, they're being understanding given the circumstances. I felt a fresh wave of guilt. Mom, I'm so sorry about the money. She waved me off. Grace, do you know what costs more than a canceled wedding? A divorce? Or worse, a lifetime of being married to someone who doesn't respect you? I burst into tears. Not the pretty, single tear down the cheek kind, but the ugly cry, snot everywhere kind. Zoe quietly slid a box of tissues toward me. I really thought he was the one, I sobbed. I know, sweetie, Mom said, rubbing my back. But better to find out now than after you've signed those papers. The next few days were a blur of logistics, tears, and awkward conversations. My dad, a normally reserved man who expressed love through practical help rather than words, showed up at Zoe's with boxes to help me move my things out of the apartment. Trevor and I shared. Trevor called me, Dad said as we packed up my kitchen gadgets. Wanted to know if I could talk some sense into you. I froze, a KitchenAid mixer in my hands. What did you say? I told him you've always had more sense than anyone I know, and if you decided the wedding was off, then I trust your judgment completely. I carefully set down the mixer and hugged my dad fiercely. Trevor's texts alternated between anger. I can't believe you're throwing away 4 years over something so stupid. Bargaining. I talked to Mom, she's going to wear blue instead, please. Just come home so we can talk. And emotional manipulation. My family thinks you're having some kind of breakdown. They're really worried about you. I didn't respond to any of them. I was staying at my parents' house, sleeping in my childhood bedroom, surrounded by swim team trophies and Taylor Swift posters I hadn't bothered to take down when I went to college. 3 days after I canceled the wedding, Margaret showed up at my parents' door. My mom intercepted her in the living room while I hid upstairs like a teenager avoiding curfew punishment. I couldn't hear everything, but I distinctly made out Margaret saying, "This is all a silly misunderstanding." And my mom responding with, "No, Margaret, this is all a consequence of your actions." When Margaret left 15 minutes later, her face was flushed with anger. Mom came upstairs with a cup of tea and a grim satisfaction in her eyes. "What happened?" I asked. She wanted to know if I was allowing this behavior from you, as if you're a child having a tantrum. Mom rolled her eyes. I told her that you're an adult making a difficult but respectable decision, and that perhaps if she had raised Trevor to be more independent, we wouldn't be in this situation. I gasped. "You did not." Mom sipped her tea. "I most certainly did. She's lucky your father wasn't home. He wanted to tell her exactly where she could put that white dress." I laughed for what felt like the first time in days. The wedding gifts had started arriving the week before, so I spent a day writing return notes and boxing them back up. For the ones that couldn't be returned, I donated them to a local women's shelter. The engagement ring was another matter. It had been Trevor's grandmother's, reset with additional diamonds for me. It felt wrong to keep it, but equally wrong to just hand it back like it meant nothing. In the end, I asked my sister to deliver it to Trevor's best man with a note. "This belongs with your family. I wish things could have been different." 5 days after what should have been our wedding day, I was sitting on my parents' patio scrolling through vacation rentals in Key West when Trevor showed up unannounced. "Your mom said I could come back. Here," he said, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His normally perfectly styled hair was a mess, and he was wearing the ratty University of Michigan sweatshirt he usually reserved for sick days. "What do you want, Trevor?" "I want to understand what happened. I want to fix this." I sighed. "Sit down if you want, but I don't think there's anything to fix." He sat across from me, leaning forward intently. "Grace, I love you. I want to marry you." I told my mom she was out of line, and she's sorry. Is she? Or are you just saying that because you think it's what I want to hear? He hesitated just a fraction too long, and I had my answer. "That's what I thought. Look, Trevor. This was never just about a dress. The dress was just the final straw. This is about the fact that I've spent 4 years being the only one trying to make our relationship work with your mother. That's not fair. Let me finish. Every time she criticizes me, every time she suggests a better way to do something, every time she reminds me that I'm not from the same background as your family, you say nothing. You let it happen. And when I bring it up later, you tell me I'm overreacting or that's just how she is." He looked down. "I didn't realize it bothered you that much." "Seriously? I've told you dozens of times, but you didn't want to hear it because it would mean having to confront your mom, and you've never been willing to do that." The truth hung between us in the warm afternoon air. "I can change," he said finally. "I can stand up to her more." "Maybe you can," I said gently. "But I don't think you should have to change for me, and I don't want to spend my life waiting to see if you will. I think we both deserve better than that." Updated. 2 weeks after the wedding, that wasn't. I was still crashing at my parents' place, but starting to feel like myself again. I'd picked up extra shifts at the marketing agency where I worked, partly to distract myself and partly to start rebuilding my savings after the wedding fallout. My team was super understanding. Turns out everyone has either experienced or witnessed some flavor of wedding drama. My boss even gave me a project for our biggest client, saying she knew I could use the win. Nothing like professional validation to boost your self-esteem when your personal life is a dumpster fire. I was grabbing coffee from the break room when Kelly from HR cornered me. "Grace, how are you holding up, sweetie? We've all been so worried." Kelly was nice enough, but had never mastered the art of indoor voice volume or personal space. "I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking," I replied, trying to edge past her. Such a shame about everything. "My cousin's wedding planner knows your wedding planner, and she said the whole thing was just..." She lowered her voice to what she probably thought was a whisper, but was more like regular human speaking volume. "A total disaster at the end. Something about your mother-in-law trying to wear white?" "Great. Office gossip circle complete. Ex-mother-in-law," I corrected, forcing a smile. "And yes, it's been a journey, but I'm getting through it." "Well, if you need anything, the girls and I are here for you. We were thinking of taking you out for drinks this Friday. Kind of a dodged-a-bullet celebration. Clarissa knows a bartender at the Tipsy Crow who makes these amazing..." I nodded. Along, already mentally drafting an excuse to avoid what would undoubtedly be an evening of invasive questions thinly disguised as support. Later that night, I was scrolling through Netflix when my phone rang. Trevor's contact photo flashed on the screen, a candid shot from a camping trip where he was mid-laugh, looking carefree and happy. I should really change that. After a moment's hesitation, I answered, "Hey, Grace." His voice sounded rough, like he'd been drinking or crying or both. "I miss you." I closed my eyes. "Trevor, don't do this." "Do what? Tell you how I feel?" A bitter laugh. "That's rich coming from you." "What's that supposed to mean?" "You walked away without even trying to fix things," he said. 7 days before our wedding, Grace. Do you have any idea what that did to my family? To me? The flash of sympathy I'd been feeling quickly evaporated. "Without trying? Trevor, I spent 4 years trying. And your family—" "My mother is devastated," he interrupted. "People are calling her monster-in-law behind her back. Someone even sent her a link to a Reddit post that sounds suspiciously like our situation." I sat up straighter. "I didn't post anything on Reddit." "Sure you didn't," he scoffed. "Just like you didn't tell everyone she was trying to sabotage our wedding." "I didn't have to tell anyone anything. She was literally planning to wear a white dress with a veil to our wedding, Trevor. That speaks for itself." "It wasn't a veil. It was a fascinator with some net detail." I laughed incredulously. "Are you seriously calling to split hairs about your mom's inappropriate wedding attire?" "I'm calling because you've ruined everything," he shouted, his voice cracking. "My mom can barely show her face in public. My dad is talking about canceling their country club membership because of the gossip. And I had to move back home because I can't afford the apartment alone." So that was it. Not, "I've reconsidered my priorities," or "I understand now why you were upset." Just, "You've embarrassed my family and inconvenienced me." "I'm sorry things are tough right now," I said carefully. "But this isn't just about your mom's dress, and I think deep down, you know that." "What I know is that you took the first excuse you could find to bail," he muttered. That stung because for a split second, in my darkest moments, I'd wondered the same thing. Had I overreacted? Was I looking for a way out and seized on this incident? But then I remembered 4 years of small surrenders, of swallowing my feelings to keep the peace, of watching Trevor consistently choose his mother's approval over my comfort. "If that helps you sleep at night, Trevor, then believe whatever you want," I said, "but we both know this was just the final straw." "Whatever," he said. "I just called to let you know my mom is thinking about legal action for defamation if you keep spreading stories." I nearly choked. "Are you kidding me right now?" "People are saying she tried to dress like a bride at her son's wedding. It's damaging her reputation." "Maybe because she literally tried to dress like a bride at her son's wedding?" I took a deep breath. "Look, I haven't posted anything online or gone around spreading gossip. People talk, especially when a wedding gets canceled a week before. But there's no defamation happening, so you can tell your mom to save her legal fees." "This isn't over, Grace," he said, his voice low. "Actually, it is. Please don't call me again." I hung up and immediately called Zoe. "You will not believe what just happened," I said when she answered. After filling her in on Trevor's call, she was silent for a beat. "Okay, first of all, you're absolutely right that there's no case for defamation here. Truth is an absolute defense, and your almost mother-in-law was 100% planning to wear white with veil-adjacent accessories. This is why I love Zoe. She's a third-year law student who stress bakes and quotes legal statutes when she's angry. And second," she continued, "this just confirms you made the right call. Do you really want to be legally tied to these people? Imagine Thanksgiving with them for the next 50 years. Imagine them as grandparents to your children." I physically shuddered. "The best revenge is living well," Zoe pronounced. "Which reminds me, a bunch of us are going to that new rooftop bar downtown this weekend. You should come." "I don't know." "Zoe, I'm not really in a partying mood." "Who said anything about partying? This is strategic public appearance. Show the world you're thriving. Plus, Jason's bringing his cute work friend who just moved here from Chicago." "Absolutely not," I said, firmly. "I am not ready to date anyone." "Who said date? Just come be social with actual adults who respect you." Novel concept, I know. I laughed despite myself. "Fine, but I'm not dressing up and I'm leaving by 11. Deal." Saturday night found me on a gorgeous rooftop with twinkling lights, craft, cocktails, and friends who kept my glass full and skillfully deflected any wedding-related questions from acquaintances. Jason's friend from Chicago was indeed cute, but more importantly, he talked to me like a normal human being and not a walking tragedy, which was refreshing. I was actually enjoying myself when I spotted them across the bar, Trevor and his college buddies, with Margaret hovering nearby like she was chaperoning a high school dance. "You have got to be kidding me," I muttered under my breath. Zoe followed my gaze. "Shoot, do you want to leave?" I was about to say yes when I saw Margaret notice me. She leaned in to say something to Trevor, who turned to stare in my direction, his expression darkening. At that moment, something shifted inside me. I was so tired of feeling like I had something to be ashamed of, like I had to hide or apologize for prioritizing my self-respect. No, I said, straightening my shoulders. I have just as much right to be here as they do. That's my girl, Zoe said, linking her arm through mine. Let's get another round. We moved to the other side of the roof, but I could feel Trevor's eyes on me throughout the night. Once, when I laughed at something Chicago guy said, I glanced over to see Trevor watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Around midnight, as I was saying my goodbyes, so much for leaving at 11, Trevor approached, slightly unsteady on his feet. Having fun? He asked, a hostile edge to his voice. I was, I replied evenly. Good night, Trevor. I tried to step around him, but he moved, to block my path. Real nice, Grace. Not even a month after canceling our wedding, and you're already out with another guy. Trevor, I warned quietly. Don't do this. Everyone was right about you, he continued, slurring slightly. My mom said you'd show your true colors eventually. Zoe appeared at my side. Time to go, buddy, she said to Trevor, her voice friendly but firm. Grace was just leaving. Is that what you told everyone? Trevor asked, ignoring Zoe. That my mom was the bad guy? That I was the bad guy? Because from where I'm standing, you're the one who bailed on 4 years without a second thought. Without a second thought? I repeated, heat rising in my cheeks. I've had nothing but second thoughts, Trevor. And third thoughts, and middle-of-the-night thoughts, and walking down the street thoughts. But you know what all those thoughts led to? The same conclusion, that I deserve someone who puts our relationship first. Not someone who lets his mother walk all over his fiancé and then calls her dramatic for being upset about it. A small crowd had gathered, watching the drama unfold. I hated making a scene, but I was done shrinking myself. Your mom has always come first, Trevor. I just finally admitted it to myself. That's not true, he protested, but there was a flicker of something in his eyes. Recognition, maybe. It is true. And you know what? That's okay. She's your mom. You love her. But it means we're not right for each other. I took a deep breath. I'll always care about you, but I'm done feeling like I have to compete for basic respect in my own relationship. I gestured to Zoe that I was ready to go. As we walked away, I heard Margaret's voice behind us. See? I told you she was unstable, honey. I didn't turn back. Some people will never see beyond their own narrative, and I was done, trying to change minds that were determined to stay closed. In the Uber home, Zoe squeezed my hand. You okay? I thought about it for a moment. Yeah, I said, surprised to find I meant it. I really am. Final update. It's been a year since the wedding that wasn't, and honestly, life is pretty good. After that night at the rooftop bar, Trevor sent a series of texts ranging from apologetic to accusatory, but I held firm on my boundaries. Eventually, the texts stopped. I heard through mutual friends that he started therapy, which I genuinely hope helps him establish some healthier boundaries with his mom. Margaret apparently still tells anyone who'll listen that I left her son at the altar. Not true, because I was emotionally unstable. Also not true. Whatever helps her sleep at night, I guess. As for me, I sold the engagement ring after Trevor's family made it clear they didn't want it back. It felt weird keeping it, and I decided the money would be better spent on something positive. I used part of it to fund a girls' trip to Hawaii with Zoe and my sister, 2 weeks of beaches, hiking, and zero wedding talk. The rest went into a down payment fund for my own place, which I finally moved into 3 months ago. It's small but all mine, decorated exactly the way I want without having to consider anyone else's opinions. Work has been amazing. I got promoted to senior marketing manager, partly because I channeled all my post-breakup energy into absolutely crushing my projects. And yes, for those wondering, I am seeing someone new. We met at a friend's dinner party 6 months ago and took things super slow. He's thoughtful and kind, and when I finally told him the whole wedding story, he was appropriately horrified about the white dress situation. Most importantly, when his mom comes to visit, he has my back completely. The first time I witnessed him politely but firmly establish a boundary with her, I nearly proposed on the spot. I don't regret my decision to cancel the wedding, not for a second. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from something that looks perfect on paper, but feels wrong in your heart. Trust that instinct. It knows what it's talking about. And if your future mother-in-law tries to wear white to your wedding, consider it the universe sending you a very expensive but ultimately priceless warning sign.